getting back into running, over the past, not being able to run for the past 5 months, and being out there and being able to run and get my feet underneath myself is really, it feels good and I'm excited.
What do you think you'll be able to do with the strength?
Right now, it's kind of up in the air. I think I'll be able to do pretty much everything, except kind of scrimmage, no contact or anything like that. I don't know what kind of drills they'll allow me to do. I just, from what I've heard from the doctors and the strength staff, is we're just going to take it day by day and what I can do. They limit. I'm going to be limited, but it'll just be however I can do. What I can do out there. That's what they told me I'll be able to do. It's tough to say. I mean, everyone's different. I feel like I've pushed my body to the max. I feel like I am ahead of schedule just because I feel like if I didn't take this seriously, I could be farther behind than a lot of guys. So, I'm really excited from where I'm at right now and where I've come. So I'm just going day by day.
Toughest thing about rehab from your standpoint, watching a season unfold while you're training?
That's a tough one. It's just not being able to be out there with the guys and seeing other guys go down, and it's just I feel bad for those seniors that had to go through that and not being able to go out there. I've been with those guys for 4 years, and for them to have to go out on that note, not being able to be out there and compete on the field, it's just tough.
From a talent acquisition standpoint, do you think Ricardo being here for a year now getting all the reps in practice is going to have an advantage going into the fall in terms of the starting job? He could have an advantage if he does well.
Yeah, there's going to be competition everywhere, and no one's going to be handed over the job. You got to earn it, and I'm going to do as much as I can, to win that job, and he's going to do as much as he can to win the job. So, and I know coaches will give everyone a fair advantage. So, but yeah, I mean, anytime you're out there and being able to take all the reps and things like that, it's gonna help.
What do you see the offense?
We look pretty good on paper, so it'll be exciting to see, when we're all out there and the damage that we can do, because we got some explosive guys on the field, and it'll be exciting to see how this offense takes off.
Do you feel the offensive line best of the staff? Where do you see the state of affairs at that?
I think the offensive line has really matured. I think they've understand their role, and guys have stepped up in leadership and just meeting. Everyone's meeting and calling guys out like, hey, let's go watch film, let's do this. I've watched film with some of the guys, and we're just trying to get all on the same page because we know how special this group can be. And like I said, I think they've really matured, and really grown up because they were all pretty young, minus a couple guys who graduated. So guys have had to step up and take guys underneath their wing.
What's the biggest key to this spring offense?
Just continue to grow, continue to learn the offense and master. I think that being under our second year with Coach Locks is really going to help. There's not only a lot of these guys have been, this will be their second or third offense, but being able to sit back and have it for 2 years straight, 2 springs in a row, is only going to help us. So I think that'll be the biggest key, is just continue to learn and move forward.
Back to the competition for a minute, CJ. You being individually pushed is good for you. You think it just makes you better on the field when it comes time to perform?
Yeah, absolutely. I think not only as an individual, but also it'll help the team. I think anytime you have competition, you don't want to get lackadaisical. You don't want to sit back and say, hey, it'll be okay. Like it's my job to I'm just going to go out there. You want to be pushed. You want to have competition. I think and ultimately that'll be the best for everyone.
And if I heard you right a minute ago, you think there's potential for an explosive offense in general? Yeah,
absolutely. With the playmakers that we have in the backfield, and at receiver, the sky's the limit for us. And on paper we look good, but everything's proven on the field, so it'll be exciting come spring.
But listening to Coach a moment ago, it sounds like he's still got to put the pieces together, to make everything come. He's got it all the time. But from what you see, man, there's a lot of competition between a lot of young guys stepping up that push upperclassmen.
Yeah, but I think that we're out there. We get to do 7-on-7s as players, so I see more than what he gets to see when they're out there. When we're doing coaching stations and stuff like that. So he sees competition as in the sprints and the drills and stuff like that. Where I see it, offense, defense, what I've seen, you know, being out there this winter. So, but yeah, definitely got to put the pieces together, you know, and he'll see that as spring ball unfolds. And you know, we've had some new guys come in, and I think that, you know, everyone's taking them underneath their wing. They're getting used to each other. Everyone's, you know, adapting to the situation. So I think, you know, it'll be a special mix.